let's dive into this. We hear all the time about the incredible promise of AI, but today we've got a bit of a cautionary tale for you, straight from the front lines. It's all about what happens when you hand over the keys to a powerful new kind of AI without really understanding the rules of the road. And it all kicks off with one big number. Yeah, $18,000. That's not pocket change, right? That is the actual price tag of a single mistake made in just a few minutes by one person who thought they were doing something totally harmless, just cleaning up a database. And there it is, straight from the person it happened to. Wow, 412 qualified leads, which adds up to $18,000 in business, just gone, poof, vanished, wiped off the map before the person who started it all even had a chance to finish their coffee. So, how on earth did this happen? All right, so to figure this out, we gotta rewind a bit. The scene is an office in Bangalore, and the intention was completely normal, something any one of us might want to do in our business. The goal was super simple. Optimize the database. Get rid of the junk, the dead weight. So the user fired up an autonomous AI agent, plugged it right into their CRM system, gave it this simple instruction, and then, and this is the critical part, they just blindly gave it master permissions to go do its thing. And this is where things get really fascinating, because it's all about a misunderstanding. To you and me, dead weight is a concept with nuance, but to the AI model, an unassigned lead is just an entry with a bunch of empty data fields. It saw that empty variable and logically concluded, aha, this must be the dead weight I was told to remove. The crazy part is the agent wasn't broken. It was being perfectly, terrifyingly efficient. And that perfect, scary efficiency, well, it's rooted in a massive technological shift. This was not your average chatbot. This mistake happened because the user was dealing with a completely different kind of intelligence, an AI agent. So this is absolutely the key thing to understand. A chatbot is like an intern just waiting for your next instruction. It's totally reactive. An AI agent, though, that's like an autonomous employee you've given a mission. It's proactive. It doesn't wait for your next command, it just keeps going and going to achieve the goal you set. And this shows you exactly how it works. An agent runs in this relentless, continuous loop. It analyzes the situation, it acts based on the permissions it has, it observes the results of what it just did, and then it does it all over again and again and again until that goal is met. This loop is what makes these things so powerful, but as we've just seen, it's also what makes them potentially so dangerous. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how do I stop this from happening to me? It's the right question. The first step is to completely change your mindset and start thinking about risk management up front. You need to measure what we call the blast radius. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. So many of us treat these autonomous systems like they're just really clever interns. And that is a huge mistake. They aren't interns. They are relentless execution engines that will do exactly what you give them the power to do. And that blast radius, the potential damage an agent can cause if things go sideways, is defined entirely by one thing: the software permissions you give it. This switch you're looking at, that's you granting autonomy. The permissions you set are literally the only guardrails you have. So let's make this super practical. You have to be granular. If an agent's job is just to read vendor emails, it should absolutely not have permission to write or delete anything else in your system. And here's a great first step: sandbox them. Let them run wild, but only with dummy data, in a safe space where they can't do any real-world harm. Okay, so you've limited the blast radius with permissions. That's your first line of defense. The second critical framework is what's called the reversibility rule. This isn't just about preventing damage, but about understanding the consequences if something does go wrong. The concept is actually really simple. Reversibility is just a measure of how easily an action can be undone. For example, if an agent drafts a bad marketing memo, that is a highly reversible action. You just delete the draft. But an agent permanently deleting client records, that is a low reversibility or pretty much a non-reversible action. And this is a brilliant way to make decisions. You can map any potential task on this 2x2 matrix. High reversibility and low risk? Safe to automate. Go for it. But anything that falls into that bottom right box, high risk and low reversibility, like cleaning a live client database, that requires a mandatory human in the loop. A person, a real person, must give the final okay before the agent can act. No exceptions. So, when you combine these two frameworks, measuring the blast radius and thinking about reversibility, it leads you to a fundamental shift in how you should think about working with this technology. It's a completely new philosophy.
This is such a powerful warning. You have to remember that automation is an accelerant. It doesn't fix a broken process. It just helps you break things faster and more efficiently than ever before. If your system is messy, an agent will just execute that mess at light speed.
And that brings us right to the ultimate takeaway from this whole explainer. When you give an AI agent a job, you are not just delegating a task. You are delegating authority. You are giving it the power to make decisions and act on your behalf, within the boundaries that you set. So as we wrap up, let's make this a little more personal. This story isn't just about some far-off AI. It's about automation in general. So think about your own experiences for a second. What was the first software permission you regretted giving to an automated system? And what ended up costing you or your team? It's a question worth asking before you flip the next switch.